Well, I got a pretty serious one for you. This customer dropped off their vehicle at another aftermarket place. Let's just put it that way. They did brakes on it, but when they retorqued the bolts and stuff, the old ones, or if they kept the new ones, the axle assembly and the axle, the tire, everything came completely off the vehicle. It mushroomed out the axle tube here. So we got to quote out a whole new axle tube, bearings, hubs, rotors, brakes. And when the axle came out, it shot up and went through the body of the truck. Chewed up the inside of it back in here. Material all over inside there. It's pretty nasty stuff. And these are, there's a sequence that you got to torque these to. Somebody actually messaged me over the weekend and said, hey, I'm doing my own brakes. I got all the new bolts and everything that I need, but can you help me out with the torque sequence? And if you guys remember the live that I did, I went through and I showed you the torque sequence for these bolts. They're one-time use bolts because they're stretch bolts. And these are just absolutely toast. So this guy is going to need a whole new axle assembly and everything. It's chewed up all the way back inside. You can see there's marks down back in the center of the tube where the axle was flopping around when his wheel came off of this thing going down the road. Can you imagine being the guy driving this down the road and that thing just goes flying off? Yeah. That's why it's important when you're working on these things that that you really know, you need to know what you're doing. You can't just ain't for anybody to come up and just do these things. See these threads of these where the axle flange bolts go through here, 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 and here. These threads look good, but these threads over here, they are chewed up. It looks like a couple of them, somebody just tried to ram the bolt through there and it didn't quite make it. The bolts were stuck in between the rim and the hub where the bearing and everything sits right here. The bolts were jammed up and cockeyed, and the rim was pinning everything in. It was all jammed in there. I had to beat the rim off of this thing, so it's probably going to end up needing a rim as well. But that's pretty bad. Hey, this dude had to go for a hell of a ride for that axle to come all the way out and then shoot right back up inside this thing and put a hole in the body of the vehicle. It's rough. And now, with all the teeth chewed up on this thing, just flopping around inside that housing all the way down. The axles, this thing is just completely marred up and chewed up. Yeah, it's a pretty rough situation to be in. They don't even look like these are new rotors unless they just fried them that bad. When this guy, went for a ride, it just got that hot, cocked everything, locked everything up and chewed it up. I don't know. That was a rough ride. I bet you he held on for 8 seconds. That's one of those turtle pinchers. Let's just put it like this. It was one of those quick change facilities that we talk about that you got to be careful on. Yep. So they're going to have to pay for an entire new rear end for this guy. And then pay for the body to get fixed as well. It's going to be an expensive bill. For sure. This is another one Brian got in. He's working on one of the older Explorers. It came in like this, and put it up in the air to inspect it. Same thing, it's flopping around all over the place. Whoever worked on it last left all the lug nuts loose on this thing, just put them on there and sent it, or never torqued them and they slowly started working their way off. That's the kind of stuff we get in. There's other people working on stuff and then they bring it to. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes. Now, don't ever think I'm saying that. But what I am saying is you got to be careful where you take your stuff. It's nice to have a relationship with people where you take it and have that work done, because you never know. Your life is in somebody else's hands and you want quality work done. It's very, very important to know who's working on your stuff and not just anybody. Theoretically, you are right. You should be able to take your stuff anywhere and have it serviced. The reality is, it doesn't always happen that way. Y'all be careful, be blessed, and watch Be careful who you take your stuff to. Have a relationship with them. If you gotta wait a little bit longer to get it serviced, to take it to somebody you know, and do what you do. Be blessed. Be safe. Be careful. Happy holidays.